Hello and welcome to the Kelcast, the Hearthstone Arena podcast, where we try to get better without cursing. I'm Keladar, a longtime Infinite Leaderboard Arena player and streamer on Twitch. Joining me as my co-host is another Arena Leaderboard player, Kelnable. If you want to find us on social media, remember that you can search for the podcast on Twitch, YouTube, or Twitter. And I have now discovered that if you just search the Kelcast on Google, it will literally bring up like 20 things. So if you just Google the Kelcast,
so cool.
you will find it. I just checked that out today.
I didn't know that. How exciting.
Yeah, so it might be easier just to say the Google the Kelcast. So today is exciting. This is a little bit of a special episode midweek. We are going to be covering the Wailing Caverns Mini Set and doing a card review of the new cards. And we're also, first, I'm going to actually do what I like to do which I don't think is covered all the time, which is arena prep. So we're going to talk about the sets that are rotating out and the sets that are rotating in, and I'm going to go over key cards that I think that you need to worry about for each class, just to kind of give you like a general idea of maybe cards to play around, that kind of thing. All right, so let's get on with it. First, we're going to talk about the arena rotation. So let me talk about the mini set first. So it's releasing tomorrow on Thursday. It should be probably around 1 p.m. Eastern as usual. There's going to be 66 new cards. There's some cards for each set, and they're going to be doing this for every expansion now. There'll be 3 expansions released every year, and then there's going to be basically a mini set released in between those expansions. And for us as arena players, there will be an arena rotation with every new set and with every new mini set. So that's kind of what you have to know if you're new to arena. So for the rotating sets, all the sets that are in standard are staying. So Outlands, Skullomance, Darkmoon Fair, and Barons, those sets are all staying in the meta. They're not leaving. So all those cards are exactly the same. A lot of cards are actually, there's still going to be some changes, but a lot of the cards that are the more powerful cards are actually staying. So in some ways, a lot of it's going to stay the same. So the sets that we're losing are Gadget Sand and Rise of Shadows. And then we're going to be gaining GVG, the first expansion, and then Kobolds and Catacombs. So let's get right to it real quick. I'm not going to make this super long. First, we're going to talk about Paladin because I did it out of order. The cards they're losing, all they're really losing is some hand buff cards. I'm not going to go through them all, but that's pretty much all they lost, not much. Now, what they're gaining from GVG is actually pretty good. They're getting Shielded Minibot, Coghammer, Muster for Battle. All very strong. All still kind of standing the test of time. You'll draft those. Other cards I saw, Potion of Heroism, Unidentified Maul. If you remember, it's a 3-mana 2/2 weapon that has a couple cool effects, and then the Valnir weapon. I just brought that one up because I like that one. That weapon was pretty strong. It basically would put like a death rattle on your minion and then like resummon the weapon. So it was pretty crazy value back in the day. For Druid, now Druid's the top class right now. This is actually, there's a lot of interesting changes coming here. We're losing Mark of the Lotus, Acorn Bearer. I'm mentioning Dreamwake Guardians just because it's a spread card. And then we're also losing Forest Aid, all pretty strong cards. They're not really gaining a ton. I only put like Branching Paths, and I mentioned it just because it's interesting in certain decks. Grizzle Guardian might be actually kind of decent because of some of the cards that are now in the meta. For Hunter, they're losing some early game stuff. They're losing Alley Cat, Trog Beastmaster, Rapid Fire, Shimmerfly, and Mark Shot. Mark Shot's not amazing anymore, but it's still a decent card.
Still worth it. It's a good value card. Does what it's supposed to do.
And then for gaining, they're going to gain Glavezuka. I think that card's still good enough to draft, obviously.
I would agree.
It's still pretty good. That's one of those cards. It's so funny because these old sets like GVG, like there's these certain cards that just are like, at the time they were just so crazy. And now they're like, they're still very draftable, but they're not like insane anymore. Then they're also
I think we actually talked about Glavezuka on our last pod because of we were comparing it to maybe it was before the pod, maybe it was on our co-op when we had the 2-mana 2/2 weapon Headhunter's Hatchet, I think. That gets an extra durability, and I was talking about how much I loved Glavezuka, and I think Glavezuka will forever be one of the most powerful hunter weapons. Not because of its value or its ability to change game states, but just its pure damage output is so much higher than other weapons that are available at the 2-mana.
It only has two durability, right? It's not a 3 durability weapon.
Yeah, it's a 2-mana 2/2, and it's Battle Cry, or it's
Right.
Yeah, is give a random beast or a random minion or beast.
Minion.
Yeah, +1 attack, and that is just that attack stays forever, and it basically means if you have a 1-drop into that or a coin 2 into Glaivezuka, it's a really aggressive start that is very difficult for basically any deck to compete against. So you can switch what type of strategy you're playing for when you have Glaivezuka.
I can tell you really like that card because you really wanted to talk about that card a little bit.
I love that card.
So other cool cards. It's funny because some of these cards were so crazy at the time, but they're still really good. Candle Shot's back. Flanking Strike. That card's still insane.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Lesser Emerald Spellstone, and I only mentioned this. It's actually, remember, it got nerfed, and it was kind of like unplayable, and now it's actually back to the original mana cost of 5. So. Still pretty good for what Hunter wants to do, and the meta, I think, will tend to be even faster with some of the sets we're gaining and losing. I'm only mentioning Crushing Walls because it's kind of a positional card, but still could potentially be pretty good, especially with everybody playing around.
About it.
But wait, everybody plays around Silas, so now Crushing Walls is going to be insane. No, actually, that's the opposite.
No.
You're right. Never mind. No, actually, it's going to be terrible. Never mind. You're right. I was thinking it was backwards, but it's not.
That's pretty funny.
And then for Mage, they're losing a couple big ones: Volcanic Potion, Kazakis, Magic Trick, and Conjurer's Calling, and also Power of Creation. Conjurer's Calling is like probably the biggest one. Definitely okay with seeing that card gone at 3 mana. Some of these cards aren't that great.
Definitely other cards like Power of Creation in the current format that fill the same role, like Deep Freeze and things like that. So
yeah, and then they're gaining Flame Cannon, Snow Chugger, and Blast Mage. Blast Mage, I think, will still be like fairly okay at times. Pretty decent body for the upside. And then Explosive Ruins. For Priest, Priest is losing some big ones. They're losing Potion of Madness, Cabal Talon Priest, Kazakis, Cabal Song Stealer, Dragonfire Potion, and Evil Conscriptor. One thing to mention just generally, before I think about it, lackeys as a whole are leaving, so all the cards that have to do with lackeys are gone. This is a huge deal, actually, because dragon lackeys were causing millions of Ysera, so it's actually going to really, I think, help the meta that they're gone. Just one less way for people to discover those crazy cards. HanchClan Shade Quill is gone, and also Convincing Infiltrator.
So honestly, mostly it's cards that are above average slightly leave, and a lot of new cards that are even that are around the same power level or slightly lower are coming back.
Yeah, a lot of the cards coming back are actually generally weaker overall, but it should actually lower the power level generally. And also, as we'll get to, I don't think the mini set compared to the Dark Moon mini set is nearly as strong overall. Though there are some really strong cards. Cards that priests are gaining is Shrinkmeister, Valen's Chosen. Light Bomb is back to play around as a board clear. They also get Unidentified Elixir, Psychic Scream, and Dustbreaker, which should still pretty easy to get dragons and priests. So they have studies and everything. So that card, oh my god, they can discover that now. Oh boy, yay. Okay, moving on. Rogue, they're losing all their Jade shit. Evil Miscreant, HenchClan Burglar, Unidentified Contract. Some of the cards they're getting Goblin Auto Barber. I'm only mentioning Minstrel because it's kind of a cool card. And Valdori Strider, I love that card. I remember
Goblin Auto Barber is another card that's in the vein of Glaivezuka, where you can create a unbeatable early game presence. That now there are metas, or there are situations where that can be I don't know, that the loss can be recouped, but it's not the same as Hunter, where you can finish them off because you had that incredible early game start.
Right.
However, it is an incredible early game start with Auto Barber.
Interestingly enough, one of the reasons Auto Barber was banned from Arena at one point, if you guys remember.
Exactly.
Then they got rid of the whole ban thing and they brought it back. Interestingly enough, though, if you wanted some little history of Hearthstone, Auto Barber was really good, mostly because there was just all the two drops had, almost all of them had 2 health. So, like, basically the play was you coin dagger, played Auto Barber, and then you just won. That was like literally game over. Now, unfortunately for Rogue, there was a ton more 2/3s, like a ton more than there were at the time. Now the card's still good, But it's not really like an auto winner anymore, but it's still solid. You're not going to be really wanting to coin your dagger into it, because if it ends up being, they play a 2/3, like it just can kind of ruin your whole curve. Yeah. So then for Shaman, they're just losing some of the J cards, J Claws, J Lightning, board clears, Hagatha's Scheme, and they're also losing Walking Fountain. That's a big one because that was a card that they were stabilizing with, and it was always annoying because it was a common card, also didn't help. Now, cards they're gaining, some fun ones. They're gaining Unstable Evolution back. If you guys know that card, you can really go off on that one. And then Crushing Hand. That's pretty much it with them.
It's just a good removal spell. They're gaining some of the most fun. I don't know. Unstable Evolution always felt unbeatable, but also felt fun at the same time, which is rare for a card. Typically, Unstable Evolution, the cards like that feel miserable to play against. But for some reason, that card never quite struck me that way. It always felt like, oh, let's look at all this cool stuff they get, and then sometimes they randomly hit like a 1/7 or something stupid at the highest mana curve, and it wasn't good.
Warlock they're losing a lot, but they're also gaining a lot, so it's kind of a weird interesting thing. They I didn't mention the Spellstone, I'll bring that up. So they're losing Blast Crystal Potion, Kazakis, Fellfire Potion was a board clear. They're losing Abyssal Enforcer as a board clear, and they're also losing one of the strongest cards, which is Evil Genius, so no more lackeys for them in that way. In terms of cards they're gaining from GVG and Catacombs, they're gaining Dark Bomb, which, remember, even though it doesn't have lifesteal and stuff, it can go face. 2 mana, deal 3 damage. They're getting Implosion back. I'm mentioning Demon Heart just because it's a card I love. Kobold Librarian, Hooked Reaver. Back at that time, it was really good. I don't think it's going to be that great now, but it'll still be solid. It's pretty solid tempo if you're under 15 health. And then I'm mentioning Rin the First Disciple because it's one of Kellen's favorites.
I love that card. It's just so much fun to play. So that's that legendary 6 mana 3/6 taunt that Death Rattle gives you, basically a cascading series of demons that increase in size, and then at the end of it, your opponent loses the game. But it's it takes a long time. It takes more mana than anything else. But the mana investment isn't a cost as much as it's super slow, but it's a cost that ends up being super exciting in the late game. I have run into matchups with Warlock lately where my opponents play like a 9-drop and I just can't beat it with a Rin, but I still think it's so much fun, and there are times when you just want to pay 5 mana that you couldn't spend otherwise. So I'm looking forward to getting to play with it. Whether it ends up being a great card or not, I don't really care. I think it's one of the most fun cards ever designed, and it was great in Constructed. It was great in Arena. It led to fantastic game situations and a lot of really important decisions. So one of my favorite legendaries they've ever printed. Yeah.
And I have to say that, like, overall, also Warlock's getting back their Spellstone, which is the one that... Actually, I don't remember how much it costs and everything.
4 mana, it deals 3 damage with lifesteal initially, and then it scales every time you take damage.
5 and 7. Oh, that takes me back to the clip I have of... Actually, I think the clip is deleted now, unfortunately. But I actually did coin Mad Bomber, and I got double upgrade. Had 2 Spellstones in hand on turn 1, and I had 2 fully upgraded Spellstones on turn 1.
Oh yeah, that's the dream, right there.
That's the dream. It was really sad as I looked at Warrior. The only card that matters that they're losing is Improved Morale, which is a lackey card, and I kind of been stretching it to say that what they're gaining, their cards from GVG are so... Just look at their GVG cards, people that are listening. Just go look at them. They're just so bad. There's Ogre Warmaul. There's like a weapon that has a 50% chance to just not hit anything. So
I think one of the things about Warrior is I think this is a good example of why Warrior cards have to be so good right now. I don't know what they were afraid of before, but Warrior cards have to be fantastic for the class to exist in the Arena format or in the Constructed format.
I think I think they were afraid that, like, in Arena, that Warrior was just gonna, like, armor up and just, like, people were gonna hate how long it took, and then they created Priest.
I think it's the opposite of that. I think that they saw Warrior dominating Constructed early on because they had cards, like, they had some of the best draw in the game between Battle Rage and Shield Block and things like that early on, so it felt like they had to print underpowered tempo-based cards because those wouldn't contribute to the warrior power level.
Right.
And then that didn't do anything, and so they just, I don't know. That's where I think it got the point got to, and now they've realized that they just can put powerful cards for every class, and warrior will be the class that needs to have the most of the powerful cards because their hero power is behind.
Gotcha.
And I don't know, maybe that's not true, but that's what it has felt like to me over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and then the only card that are gaining that I think is really worth mentioning is Lesser Mythical Spellstone, which every time you equipped a weapon, which will work with Ganarg, by the way, because it equips it.
Right.
Every time.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, every time you equip a weapon, it upgrades to go from a 7-mana 5/5 you summon, and then it goes to 2 5/5s and then 3 5/5s. So yeah, that one's fun. I don't know if it's going to really be viable, but I do like that the Spellstones are back because they're kind of cards where you kind of have to like try stuff, and it's like themes that we talked about in the last episode.
It's actually that I think it's so funny that they brought back Spellstones after we specifically talked about Spellstones being a great theme class or three.
Yeah, we literally talked about it last week, a couple days ago, but you know.
I really do think that's the direction they're going. I truly believe that they are going the direction of you need to be able to draft theme decks. You need to be able to draft around a cause or a plan or whatever. It's worked for so many other games. I think it's going to find its way into Hearthstone soon.
All right, so lastly, I'm just going to go over the neutral ones. There's actually not a lot. I'm just mentioning the really impactful ones. So we're losing Hogsteed, Dalaran Crusader, Eccentric Scribe is a big one, and then Burly Shovelfist. No more dig days for a little while. And then for cards we're gaining, some of these are just more nostalgia than really like the best cards, but I'm just going to mention a couple. Piloted Shredder, Fel Reaver, Piloted Sky Golem. We got Dr. Boom coming back. Unfortunately, we have Dragon Slayer coming back. I do not like these type of hate cards. I never have. I never will. They're just not fun in Arena, and it feels really punishing. Shroom Brewer's coming back again. Not a crazy card, but I just think it's a fun, cool card.
One of my it fits the same bill as Kooky Chemist for us, right? Like it's just a good 4-mana 4/4, and then it has that added upside where if you find the right situation, it can be devastating. Love that.
Yeah, and then there's Carnivorous Cube, which won't see much now. Here's a card I want to mention, which is Fungalmancer. This is going to be a card that you will pretty much you're gonna draft over a lot of stuff. And the thing is you just have to remember, might not be quite as crazy as back in the day, but when you're coming into turn 5, like we haven't really had any. There's been a lot of neutral board punishing type of cards like this. Like there's Wriggling, the Wriggling card right now, but they really haven't. Wriggling isn't so. It doesn't punish you so much that the game is just over when it's played. Fungalmancer is the kind of card that if you kind of leave stuff alone and you get a little greedy, like it can literally like end your game. So. You know, it's not going to be as strong as it was, but I just want to mention we haven't really had a lot of board buffing to worry about, like Bone Mares or things like that for a long time. So it's just something you want to think about.
Definitely.
We got Void Ripper, which is the card that this is one of my favorites. And just flips all the minion stats. It's like the only Kooky Chemist I can have. And then Violet Worm is back, so there's going to be another strong 8-drop in the meta. Probably not nearly as strong as Proto Drake in my opinion, but still solid enough. All right, so that is all of the meta prep stuff that we were going to go over. So those are just some of the cards to get you thinking about, you know, things to play around, things you don't have to play around anymore. So if you this is basically meant to give you like a real fast like overview of like here's what's coming and going. All right, now let's move on to why we're really here, which is the mini set. We're just going to go through
new cards.
I know, new cards. I know, right? All right, so let me just get ready here.
We're talking about Demon Hunter first, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, Adventures. We got to talk about the Adventures first.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's a new mechanic. So, we're just going to go over it real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
Basically, there's a lot of cards that either add a card to your hand or summon one to the battlefield. And those cards are 2-mana 2/2 Adventurers. There's 8 of them. They're all the same in terms of stats and cost. They're all 2-mana 2/2s.
Yes.
Whether they go to your hand or the battlefield doesn't matter. They're 2-mana 2/2s. And they have 8 different abilities. And those abilities are Spell Damage +1, Taunt, Poisonous, Divine Shield, Wind Fury, Stealth, Rush, and Lifesteal. So pretty much the adapts for the most part.
Yeah.
Not quite, but very close. One of the things that the Poisonous and the Divine Shield are probably the two best, followed by the Stealth, followed by the Rush, the Taunt, the Stealth, and then Lifesteal, Spell Damage, and Wind Fury bring up the rear. But as a whole, the cards that create them are pretty undercosted for what they produce, because I think they just assume that everyone's going to summon a Wind Fury or Lifesteal, and they base it off that. But if you do hit the good ones, you can have a pretty good situation. So we'll talk about them a little bit more as we get into the cards that summon them, but that's all they are. They're just 2-mana 2/2s with minor abilities, and if you hit the Divine Shield or the Poisonous, you'll be pretty happy.
You'll notice that basically they brought up some of the... Basically, there's some of the old mechanics, like Frenzy from Barons is in some of these cards. And basically the adventurers are just basically the mechanic in a sense, kind of like lackeys were for Rise of Shadows. I will just say generally, I'm very happy that, one, that they're 2/2, so they're not like overstated, and also that they made enough ones that are basically bad or not great that the RNG won't like be like, well, you just lose now. Like there's a chance that a 2/2 in most of these cards will still be fine. Once in a while, you'll high roll a little bit and get a really big swing. Other times, it won't really do much. But I like that it's kind of balanced in that way. All right, so we're gonna start with. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So we're gonna rate these 5 out of 5, or whatever number of stars out of 5. And like a fantastic legendary is gonna be a 5 out of 5. A card like a let's see, what's a bad card? Like a River Crocolisk. A River Crocolisk will be a 1.5 out of 5 or a 2 out of 5. It's a 2 out of 5. It's playable, but it's not interesting to you. And then a card that is completely unplayable, like many of the Warlock spells that are designed for Constructed, would be a 1 or a 0 out of 5. That's kind of where we're at with it. Things like Chillwind Yeti are probably like a 2.5. So neutral generic minions are in the 2.5 range. And great cards are in the 4 to 5 range. Yeah,
and cards like Spider Tanks used to be like a 3 or 3.5, but now we have to kind of expect with the power level creep that it's premium stats with an ability. You know what I mean? So we just to give you kind of an idea where we're thinking with the stats and the cards. All right. So first up, we have Sigil of Summoning. It's a 2-mana Demon Hunter spell. At the start of your next turn, summon 2/2/2 demons with taunt. It's a shadow spell as well.
Okay. This is a tough one to evaluate, because if you top deck it in the late game, it is not going to be the good thing for you if you're behind.
Right.
However, if you're ahead or at parity in terms of board state, like if you're at the same situation as your opponent, it's going to be fine. It's not going to be great, but 2/2/2 taunts are good to have, no matter whether they're immediate or later. However, if you draw this in the early game, you're going to be ecstatic. It's going to be so good for you. So I would view Sigil of Summoning probably as a 3.5, unless your deck is loaded with 2-drops, at which point I would drop it down to a 2.5.
2.5. Okay. Oh, sorry, 2.5. Yeah.
It depends on your deck. If you get it early, I would give it a 3.5. But if you get it late, so maybe that's average 3.
Yeah, I think a 3. We'll say 3. I think it is kind of a 3 because you get it early, like you're getting a 4/4 stats for 2, which is in the Dormant you don't really care about. And I guess you can say that late, even though it might not impact the immediate turn, it will at least.
The fact that it has taunts are valuable.
Yeah, the taunt. If it didn't have taunts, it would totally change the evaluation. For
absolutely.
Sure. All right, so moving on, we have to go to. I'm going to go in order of mana cost, just so you know.
For sure.
Next, we've got Fel Rattler. This is a 3-mana 3/2 beast. It has Rush, and it's a Death Rattle. Deal 1 damage to all minions. I think this card's really cool. It's basically like a swipe.
No, it literally is swipe, except it costs 1 less. So I don't really understand how this is okay. This is a 4. This is a 4. I mean,
is it a 4.5? It's pretty good.
No, it's not a 4.5. It's a 4. There are things that mess with it. There's taunt minions. There's stuff like that. But for the most part, this is a 4. You're going to want this in your deck. You're going to take it. It's going to be a fantastic removal spell. The fact that the summon tokens are 2/2s right now reduces the overall effectiveness of the card. However, it's still going to be a fantastic way to neutralize a lot of your opponent's biggest threats and shrink down some of their other cards as well, so that your minions can trade off effectively. The fact that it says deal 1 damage to all enemy minions instead of to all minions is confusing, but powerful. So, yeah, I think Fel Rattler's a 4. The fact that it's also common, shoot, that really helps. But yeah, I think it's a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
It might rise up to 4.5 after I play it, but I really think it's going to be a very
I'm willing to
powerful
just
card.
settle with a 4. I think I might have given it a 4.5, but it is a card that's hard to see playing with it. But you have to remember that you're pretty much never going to like play this and not kill it. So and even if you like, you're pretty much probably going to hold it in a sense. You're not going to really tempo this all the time. I mean, even until you won't tempo it, but it's going to do a lot of damage.
It says it's a minion, but it's a spell. It's a spell.
Basically, yeah. And it'll be really good for Violet Worms.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, it will.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, the last card for Demon Hunter we have here is we have Taint Heart Tormentor. It's an 8 mana 8/8 demon with taunt, and your opponent's spells cost 2 more. So initially when I looked at this card, I feel like my brain like just kind of went back to when like these type of cards were really good. But then I remembered something. Like, for one, like an 8/8 taunt's not really that impactful. And 2, like, the thing is all the removals now are rush. So like, you don't like, I mean, not that spells never matter. So it's like solid. It's like not a terrible card. It's just that I just don't think
problem with it.
Yeah.
So your opponent's spells cost 2 more to cast. All the spells that remove it cost less than 8, and significantly less than 8. So the worst case scenario is they play a 5 mana or a 4 mana removal spell if they're in Warlock or Rogue,
right,
and they kill it for only 7 or 6 mana, which is all still significantly less than Tainted Heart Tormentor costs. Yeah. So yes, you are making it more expensive for your opponent to remove it, but I don't really see a way that they're going to make, I don't know, where Taint Heart Tormentor gives you an advantage, other than 2 total mana. I see it giving you a 2 mana advantage once, and a 6 mana 8/8 taunt is only slightly above average, and the fact that it's not actually that, it's what it says on the card, is worse. So I really don't think this card's good. I'd give this a 2 out of 5. I was gonna say like
2.5 or 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think it's equivalent to a 3 mana 3/4. I'd take a 3 mana 3/4 for this card.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, the problem with this card is it would have to at least be like a 7 mana 8/8. Like, it has to have a little bit of, because it doesn't really have any benefit other than the actual opponent's spells cost 2 more. That's what makes it so bad. Like, it needed to have just like, if it had a little bit of tempo with it, it would be okay. And it also doesn't deal 16 damage like the Inquisitor, so it's terrible.
Exactly.
All right, so that's all the Demon Hunter cards we got. Now we're going to be moving on to Druid. The first card we got for Druid is a Fang-bound Druid. It's a 3 mana 4/3. Taunt, that's Death Rattle, is reduce the cost of a beast in your hand by 2.
Yeah, I think this is a 3 out of 5. It's slightly above average. The fact that a 3 mana 4/3 in the past has been quite a good card. Hired Gun comes to mind. It's just that's already a 2.5 plus. And then the occasional 2 mana cost downgrade on a beast in your hand can be huge. So I give this a 3. I don't think it bumps up to 3.5 or 4, but because it's just so situational in Arena, where in Constructed you can craft your deck with the idea of reducing the cost every time. In Arena, you're just likely to miss out on that 2 mana cost too often. So I'd give it a 3 stars here.
Yeah, I'm almost, the only thing I could see it maybe going up a tiny bit, only because there is a lot of taunt synergy with like reducing this, and also typically some of the beasts that you can play with Druid, like that you'd want to draft, or that if you can reduce them, like for instance the elephant, the corrupted one, that could be really good. So there are actually some big hits.
Pearl Tusk, or Fleetwood Pearl Tusk, or even the 5/7/5 or the 5/7/7/5 Planestalker. Is that right?
Oh, Planestalker, or the Marsh Hydra. I think that one's still there.
Yeah. There's quite a few.
So anyway, I'm just saying, like, it's 3 mana 4/3s
is huge. The upside is huge. It's just hard to trigger. So and like I think you'll hit it once and you'll think like, oh my god, this card's insane. But if you look at the average over a course of 25 games with Fangbound Druid in your deck, you'll see it ends up being about a 3. That would be my guess.
Yeah. I guess I'm optimistic. We'll see.
You are an upside kind of guy. That's very true.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so next we got the Lady Anaconda. I mean, I really hope I don't screw up any of these names because I did not look at these before.
That's right. That's right.
All right, 6 mana.
I have her bag quite often. She's dropped Snakeskin Bag. I've had it many times in World of Warcraft.
All right, so she's a 6 mana 3/7 with the she does your nature spells cost 2 less.
Yeah, I don't care about this card. It doesn't matter to me. I don't want to play it. It's a legendary already, so I'm not going to see it. And then if it's a legendary, it's going to be offered up against 2 other legendaries. And the situation where I take a Lady Anaconda over another legendary that's just a stat-based legendary is... I don't have that situation in my mind. I can't think of it. So I just don't think it'll be a... I just don't think it's a card I'll put in my deck ever.
Yeah.
I think it's a 1 out of 5. There's decks where I'd play it, but it's so unlikely that it would ever happen.
Yeah. Yeah, 1's fine. All right. So next we've got let's see. Oh, the 8 mana one. So next we've got a Deviate Dreadfang, 8 mana 4/9. After you cast a nature spell, summon a 4/2 Viper with Rush.
See, this is the kind of nature payoff I want, not Lady Anaconda. I don't want a card that sets up my late nature spells. I want a card that lets me cast a nature spell and get an advantage. Because mana overall is less valuable in Arena than it is in Constructed. So now that doesn't mean mana isn't important. It's very important. However, an 8 mana 8/11 is what this card is if you are able to summon 1. And it's really an 8 mana 4/9 deal 4, which is a card I would happily play in my deck. The problem is having enough nature spells. So I think if you have, let's say, 5 nature spells in your deck, which doesn't seem unlikely, this card is a 3. If you have less than that, I would give this card a 1.5, and then it scales, right? Like if you have 4, it's probably a 2. If you have 3, it's probably a 1.5. If you have 2, it's probably a 1. It just kind of goes down that way.
I think we should just give it like a 2. I mean,
yeah, it's a card I want if I have nature spells. But if I don't have nature spells, this card can get the F out.
Yeah, the problem is that we have to rate it on based on what I don't even. It's actually not even that easy to get that many. It's hard to get spells unless they do a shift with the rates. With like, there might be a micro adjustment with the rotation potentially, like they did last time. So we'll have to see. But yeah, this card you're not going to be looking to take it, but unless you have just a ton of cheap nature spells, maybe. That's absolutely pretty much the only situation. All right, so now we're going to we'll move on to Hunter. Oh, Hunter's got some fun ones. So the first one we're going to look at, oh god, this card. It's funny. It's Serpent Bloom. It's a 0 mana spell, which you don't see a lot of anymore. Give a friendly beast poisonous.
Well, okay, so this card is normally bad. I think we're in a format where it's not as bad as it usually is. Just because there's a lot of ways to generate random beasts, between the little rush beasts that are generated by a card we'll see in a second, or the beasts summoned by Wolpertinger, like whatever. There's just a number of ways to make little 1/1s. So I would not normally give this card a very high grade, but I think in this particular format, I believe it's probably a 2.5. It's an average card that I'd be happy to include in my deck as a 1-of.
Yeah, and the thing is with this card is that one of the reasons I think it gets a little bit of a downtick is because, frankly, there's enough poison already. Like, you don't really need to, like, add more poison to make your deck better. So I think it's going to be hard to find a spot where it's like, obviously there's some good synergies. There's the 1 mana spell that creates a 1/1 rush minion and stuff like that.
Right.
So that, I mean, obviously there's definitely some good synergies. I think he'll definitely take this card. I just think it's going to be a little bit situational, but
yeah,
I think
it depends on what you have. But I'd be happy to play it in the deck.
I think it's kind of a fun card, though, even though it's not particularly.
I like that it's around. I also like the little frog snake thing.
A little frog.
It's a snake, I guess, but still,
So this next one I don't think is okay. So the next card is Venom Strike. Venom Strike Bow.
I'm not cool with this.
Yeah, Venom Strike Bow. It's a 4 mana 1/2 weapon with poisonous.
So I just want to, before we say anything, Envenom Weapon was a 3-mana spell that gave your weapon poisonous in Rogue, and that card cost, in comparison to Venom Strike Bow, was a 5-mana card. Yes, this card cannot be done on turn 2, turn 3, like Envenom Weapon was, but the strength of this card is ridiculous. The ability for this card to just dominate a game where your opponent is going to drop let's say they're going to drop a 6-drop and then a 7-drop, you win the game. Your opponent cannot defeat that. If your opponent goes 6-drop, 7-drop, and you have Venom Strike Bow on turn 6 or whatever to kill their 6 and kill their 7, there is no chance for your opponent to win. And I don't mean that as like a hyperbolic statement. There's no way to do it. You can't beat that. Now, that's not every game, thank God. If that was every game, no one would ever play Hearthstone. But it's still enough of the games that it's going to be a very frustrating card to play against, and it's going to be a very difficult card to play around, because by turn 6 or 7, your game plan has already been enacted, and what you're left with is what's left in your hand, and that can be a 6 and a 7-drop. So I think this card is a 4 out of 5. I think this card is going to dominate the games where it's good, and the games where it's bad, it is going to be frustrating to have it, but it's going to be not that bad. The worst case scenario is it's only a 4-mana 3/2, right? And that's not. I'm
going to give it a 4.5, but that's only because here's the thing. Like, so one thing that people will say, and I want to this is something I want to talk about, because I'm going to go back to Envenom Weapon, actually, particularly because you brought it up. So the thing is people look at a card like that and they think, oh, control card. They think like control class. I'm going to tell you, when in Venom Weapon, that's when I actually took myself to become an infinite player. Well, a higher level infinite player. Maybe it was during that meta. And what I realized was that with Envenom Weapon, what you can do is you can play a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4-drop. Then you dagger and Envenom, and you can, no matter how many taunts they play, you can just push all that damage. So like it does function as a very, very good card, because you get 2 removals for 4 mana. I mean, imagine a True Silver. Like, health doesn't matter. A True Silver, instead of a True Silver doing 4 damage, it can kill anything. You know what I mean? So this can be used. Like, there's a card right now, Amalgam, right? The 4-mana 4/5. This is going to eat that alive. So
it kills the Amalgam, and then it kills the follow-up 5-drop taunt or the follow-up 5-drop whatever. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah, so I just want to...
Poisonous, by the way, Poisonous does not allow the Frenzy to trigger, in case that wasn't clear. I mean, I think that is a little confusing for a lot of people. It was for me at first.
Right.
But Poisonous ends Frenzy, too. It does not allow Frenzy to trigger. It just kills the creature right away.
And that's the thing, is like, I feel like this is a card I'm going to be talking about when we talk about how good Hunter is, because you can be aggressive as crap, and then like you just drop this thing, and like you can just push. The only reason you can't push damage, like, it's not, you're never going to trade that much as a Hunter all the time, like, but you only cannot push your damage because there's something in front of you. This takes care of that problem twice. So yeah, it's just, I just want to say it's going to be
this is probably, I think, the most powerful card that they revealed.
Yeah, maybe we should make it a 5 then. I'm just kidding.
No.
All right. All right, so the next card,
4.5, right? 4.5 is probably right, actually.
No, I think it's at least a 4.5. I have to at least push it that much.
I think 4.5. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think I undervalued it.
All right, so next we've got Sindori Scentfinder. It's a 4-mana 1/6 frenzy card that summons 4 with the frenzy, summons 4 1/1 hyenas with rush, which I'm assuming those are beasts, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's 3. It's above average for its cost. Yeah. You're not going to get the frenzy sometimes, and if you ever draw it late, it's going to be miserable. But if you play it on turn 4, you're going to be very happy. So I think the upside and the downside coordinate to be a 3. Slightly above average.
Yeah, that's one of those things, like I said, very strong if you can actually... It's going to be one of those cards that earlier on is way, way better, obviously. Until this, like, a card like this exists and there is not Aug Merchants, you know?
Yeah.
Because you want to take Aug Merchants, and some of the things that you have to remember with these Frenzy cards is, like, the classes where you naturally will... I mean, you always... A lot of classes draft Aug Merchants, but some classes draft them even more, and Hunter's definitely one of them, so... Yeah, this card will be, I think, a 3. It's fair. So, all right, moving on to, what's the next one? We got Mage. All right, so Mage, let me move down here.
God, Mage got a rough deal.
Yeah, they did. Because I think even their Dungeoneer is like, eh. We talked about the Dungeoneers, but we'll give them a little brief over and we'll give them an actual score.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got Frostweave Dungeoneer. It's a 3-mana 2/3.
Yeah, I think it's a 3.5. It's a 3-mana. Sorry. Sorry, say the card. Sorry, my bad.
Kellen, slow down, man. You're 3-mana 2/3 Frostweave Dungeoneer. He's really excited about reviewing cards. It's a battle cry, draw a spell. If it's a frost spell, summon 2/1/1 elementals that freeze. So I think it's a 4 or 3.5. Did I say 3.5 or 4? 3.5. It's significantly above average because a 3-mana 2/3 battle cry, draw a spell is a good card. When you get the frost spell, it's great because the ability is good, but frost spells suck. So that's why I think it's 3.5 and not a 4. I don't think it's quite. I honestly almost want to give this a 3 only because of the fact that, like, in the meta, like, drawing a spell is great, but like there's a lot cheaper ways to draw a spell, and I think this card's still fine. It's just that you're gonna trigger this so rarely that, like, and all the freeze, they just suck at making freeze cards. I'm just sorry, but they've been trying to push freeze since like Ungaro. It just doesn't work in Mage. So anyway, it's fine, but
I think one of the big problems with freeze is it's a temporary effect that doesn't have a long-term thing going on. So while there are ways to take advantage of it, it's all momentary, and Hearthstone Arena is more about the long term and your total game plan. It's difficult to make freeze matter in those situations.
Well, they've tried to make freeze always like a combo, like you have something frozen and then you get an effect. You know, that's kind of thing they keep doing, which I think they're doing to try to make it less frustrating. But in Arena's perspective, having to, you know, have 2 cards to make the effect go off is it's very, very difficult. So all right, so that's the worst of the Dungeoneers. We'll move on, but there's other ones that we'll show that are much, much better. Oh god, I guess I can mention this card. I'll do this one for you. I'll give this one a 0. Shattering Blast. 3-mana frost spell. Shattering Blast is destroy all frozen minions. I don't think I got to say much more. It's not going to be very playable.
There are decks where I'll play it. But I'm going to have the deck figured out before I take it. So that means I do not ever want to start a deck with Shattering Blast. That's a huge mistake. Cone of Cold plus Shattering Blast is a great combo. There's a few other good combos as well, but it's unlikely that you're going to have a deck where Shattering Blast works. The upside is ridiculous, obviously, but the downside is that you sit there with a 3-mana spell that does nothing in your hand for the entire game while you trade understated minions against theirs. So if you can find a way to make Shattering Blast great, absolutely take it. But it is a complete build-around card. It has no intrinsic value. So, yeah, I'd recommend.
I hate cards like this. I'm just going to say this. Cards that are this bad are so frustrating because the one time that they somehow end up having the combo and these cards, when they're situational, are just insane. You know what I mean? Like when they actually go off with the right card. So, yeah. But anyway, it's a 0. I don't care. All right, moving on.
It's for some decks, but not for most.
Yeah. All right, so next we're going to go on to Flowcaster. It's a 6-mana 5/5. It costs 2 less for each frozen enemy. I mean, I guess if you're lucky, you might end up having 1 frozen enemy. Would make it a 4-mana 5/5.
You need to spend your mana to freeze their enemies, so freeze the enemies. So you're not actually getting a mana cost reduction on the cost of the turn. And if their minion is still alive after you've frozen it, then you have not actually dealt with the board in any significant way that matters. We've already seen this card in the secret version, and it was only fine. And this is even worse than that. There might, again, be a deck where you have 3 Cone of Colds and suddenly Flowcaster's worth taking. But I just don't see that happening very often. So I'd give it a 1 out of 5. It's a situational card, and Mage is going to be full of these, I think, coming in the future. A lot of situational cards that don't quite hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. So not very exciting for Mage, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So they've had a lot of other. They've had tons of exciting metas, so they don't need to. They can deal with it. All right, so now we're gonna move on to Paladin. They got some pretty interesting cards. I actually really like this first one. So we got Judgment of Justice. It's a Paladin secret. It's a holy spell. Secret is when an enemy minion attacks, set its attack and health to 1. I think this card's really cool.
I think it's really cool. I can't tell how good it is. I think this is a card that's going to depend on how the meta shakes out.
Well, you know, it's funny. Like, I actually like to compare this to Freezing Trap just because it kind of, in a sense, it fills kind of a similar spot where, like, it's good when somebody has a huge minion and, like, they have nothing else. And so, and it's 1 mana. So here's my thing with this. Like, everybody kept telling me this whole meta Freezing Trap's shitty. There's too much rush and stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like maybe I'm like more patient with it or whatever. But like, I still found Freezing Trap really freaking good overall in this meta.
I had not heard anyone say negative things. I've only had success with Freezing Trap.
You know, I'm just saying, like, I can understand where people come from. Like, it's a little bit harder to, like, it's not as clunky, so it's a little harder to get, like, a good hit on a big minion. But there's a lot of, like, 3-drops, big, powerful 3-drops trading, and then they get a 4-drop down, and then they have Amalgam. So, like, if you spend 1 mana to, like, reduce an Amalgam down to a 1/1, I mean, that's pretty good. So, and it doesn't have to hit face or anything. It's just when it attacks. I think this is one of the better Paladin secrets they've revealed in a while. I think I'm going to give this a 3.5. I think it's
Wow. Okay, I'd probably go 2. I was going to say it's an average card, but I think you're right. I think it is above average. After you compare
I don't think it's crazy, but
I'm going 3, but I can understand your 3.5. Okay, wow. I do think this is better than my initial assessment after hearing you compare it to Freezing
Trap. Well, because like I said, like some reason my brain immediately went just because I'm like, what is this card? And I'm like, it's basically just a mini Freezing Trap. And the one thing about it,
well, no, okay, hold on, no. I do have a difference there. You don't have to respend the mana to get no, that doesn't really matter because the mana is gone. Oh yeah. I was gonna say some reason I was thinking it doesn't transform it. That would be really crazy. So no, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, you don't have to replay it, but in some ways, like it could be really awkward. It might just be gone and dead. Yeah.
Well, just imagine you have a venomous Scorpid, and they have like, I don't know, they have like a Sunwell, and they're trying to get rid of it, so they like try to trade the Sunwell, and now the poison still lives, and you have a 1/2 poison now, and they literally did nothing with their turn. So it is a card that you have to be kind of. I can't like give it a crazy value because, like I said, like there's gonna be times it doesn't really do anything. And typically I will say one down tick to it is that typically with Paladin you're trying to spend all your mana all the time, so you don't really have as much flexibility to be like kind of tricksy as maybe as.
Yeah, that is the advantage of Paladin secrets though, is they do only cost 1.
So. Right, and no, I know that's true.
I'm down with the 3. I understand your 3.5 though. I want to see how it shakes out. I feel there's a lot of times in this meta.
Remember the Sunwell Initiate, Callan. Remember what happened last time.
No, I know.
I'm just kidding. This isn't that card. I'm just joking.
I just don't know if it's quite up to the same part.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of situations in this meta that's coming up where you maybe you don't care so much about that.
Okay, this next card I'm not okay with it, by the way. I'm just saying. I shouldn't give these precursors, but I don't know. All right, so this is a Seed Cloud Buckler. 3 mana, 2/3 weapon. Death Rattle, give your minions divine shield. So here's what I don't like about. Okay, this card for first of all, I think I would probably give this card. Man, I guess it's.
I think if we gave the hunter weapon a 4.5, I think this is a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it's situational. My initial assessment was gonna be a 4, so let's just stick with that. But let me explain why. So, like one thing about this card that's kind of interesting is that it has 3 durability, and the reason I think it's interesting is it actually gives you more time to think out and set up the turn, because the fact that you get to control when the weapon, well, unless they have removal, obviously, like weapon removal somehow, but you get to control when that last swing goes in, and you get to play the minions first, or you play rush minions or whatever. This card's going to be really solid. And even for, I mean, sure, it would be stronger weapon if it had 3 attacks, so it's like not necessarily the strongest weapon, like without the, you know, the Death Rattle and the Divine Shields, but it's really strong. So
it's not too understated for what it is.
Right.
And then I mean, we've all played with the 3 mana 4/5 Dormant that gives Celestial Steed, that gives all of your minions Divine Shield on Spellburst. This has a similar overall effect, but is easier to trigger in the sense that you don't have to cast a spell and use your mana on that. So you can spend your whole turn on the turn you're triggering the buckler, playing out minions, and then giving them all divine shield.
Well, here's the other thing I like about it. The weapon is the effect is so strong that this is one of those weapons that like you're pretty much going to play it on 3. And if they have nothing on the board, you're probably just going to hit their face with it because you're just, you're going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a weapon that you're like trying to like figure it out. Like you just basically are trying to get the effect off as fast as you can. So like you can just kill whatever, like it kind of gives you more, it makes the weapon better.
Against this card. It gives you a sense of inevitability, and it forces your opponent to kill all of your minions. It changes what your opponent has to do and how they view the game. And I think that's a huge level up on a card, is the ability for a single card to change how your opponent views what's happening in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 for sure.
All right, so moving on, we have our final card for Paladin. We have Party Up. It's a 7-mana spell. No spell school with this one. It's summon 5 2/2 adventurers with random bonus effects. Now, just so you know, it can be the same one more than once, so it doesn't just summon 5 different ones. It could be all divine shields. I mean, it's very unlikely, but it could be like a mix, like 2 rushes and 2 taunts or whatever. This card's kind of interesting. It's very slow. I guess we could try to maybe semi-compare it to like Forest Aid. It's kind of similar in some respect, but all of them have.
I think it's a lot. I don't think it's better than Forest Aid, but it's close.
Well, it's only not better than Forest Aid only because that had Spell Burst and you could cast it twice. I think if you remove that part of it though, I think its immediate effect is way better. So because like, but I think it's a good one to compare it to because the bodies are the same. But these ones, instead of just being regular 2/2s that don't, you know, them being treants is not very impactful. But all these, I mean, if you hit, so we said there's about 3 good ones. If you hit 2 of the good ones on this, like this is really, really good. Would you give this one a 4?
No, I think the upside is huge. The normal situation is about a 3.5. It's still above average. I think
3.5 is fair.
I'll be happy to have it in my deck. Absolutely. I think it's a good card.
So this is the first card we're really seeing the adventurers, like that mechanic kind of play out outside of, you know, just because you can just actually, can you draft the adventurers? Are they in the neutrals?
No, I don't believe. No, they're not.
Oh, okay. So you can't actually just
only.
Okay, thank God. Actually, that would be kind of bad. All right,
we're halfway through the classes. We're going okay. We're doing okay.
Yeah, this is way so shorter than a regular card review. Thank goodness. But we did hey, to be fair, guys, when we did Forge and the Barons, we were the only card review that was in like under 2.5 hours. So we went through them pretty lickety splickety, you know. All right, so the next, this card's really fun to talk about. All right, so now we have a Cleric of Nosh. Is it a Noosh or a Nosh? I don't know. Anshe. It's kind of like Tarjay and Anshe. Anyway, it's a 1-mana 1/2. The battle cries, if you've restored health this turn, discover a spell from your deck. Which, remember, discovering a spell means drawing it out, not discovering a copy as there's been in some cards in the past.
Yeah. So I just so we're clear, this is a 3-mana 1/2 discover a spell. That's what this card is. It's not. There are situations where that's different. But evaluating it as a card is a 3-mana 1/2 that heals 2, battle cry, and discovers a spell. So, unfortunately, in Priest, because Priest has such poor early game, this is most likely a 3-mana 1/2, heal your hero for 2, just discover a spell from your deck. In the games where it's that, it's probably a 2. In the games where it heals 2 to a minion, it's probably a 3. So it's above average in those situations. I think that's going to be where you find the line with this card. If you're running into a situation where your deck has great early game, Cleric is going to be much better. In a situation where you're built around the late game and you just want the discover and the heal face off of this card, you're going to be less happy. And there are going to be times when you have ways to heal your face incidentally, where this card ends up being more powerful, but it's still not much better than a 3-mana 1/2 discover a spell from your deck.
Yeah. So are we gonna give this one like a 3?
I think it's a 3. I think it's slightly above average.
The thing is that
but
like
it's not great.
Because like if we would I think you would much rather have a Shadow Visions if you had an option, because it's obviously just cheaper. Like the body's not that significant, and the thing is, this one, if for some reason there's no way to restore health, like it actually can be a dead card at times. I'm not saying it'll last very long, but it is possible. So I do think giving it a 3 is fair. But I do think it's, again...
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to go much above that. There are going to be
games
I
don't either.
Need it, but you're just getting a card for a card. And the 1/2, it's not really a full 2-for-1 like other cards that we see in this vein.
Yeah, but a lot of times in Priest, it is true that you want to be finding a specific card out of your deck. So like in Priest specifically, this card is a little bit good for them. But again, I could see this card actually surprising me a tiny bit. But I still think it's just a 3. I'm just saying, like,
Agreed.
There is a lot of, like, we want to just mention there's a lot of, like, ways that this can have a little bit of upside. But cool card anyway. I like that they had the other card that's, like, the one that is the taunt that buffs or whatever. So they have, like, this Nosh, like, where something gets restored and then there's an ability. I think that's kind of cool. All right, so moving on to the next Priest card is the Dungeoneer. We talked about this last week just a tiny bit. We've got the Devoured Dungeoneer. All of these are 3-mana 2/3s. The battle cry is draw a spell. If it's a holy spell, reduce its cost by 2. I think that this one's slightly... I don't know if it's slightly better than the Mage one, but the thing is that like most of the spells that you're going to take, a lot of the spells are going to be holy spells, so it's a little bit easier to get the effect off. Reducing it's like... It's not always going to be massively impactful in Priest, but it's definitely not, doesn't hurt. But again, just drawing a card is fine. I still probably just do you want to give it a 3.5? Does that seem fine?
I think this is actually up to 3.5 because you're going to get a holy spell, and almost all the time in Priest you're getting a holy spell. It's easy to switch your deck around to adjust that if you are early in the draft, and even if you're mid to late in the draft, there's a good chance you have not drafted a non-holy spell. So I think this is a 3.5. The fact that you could get basically a 0-mana 2/3 that puts a spell in your hand is pretty good in total cost. That's worth it to me.
Yeah.
1-mana 2/3.
Yeah. I think these cards are cool. We talked about the theme last week. Like they're not like crazy overpowered, but they're just kind of fun. Like I'm kind of glad they're here. But they're not like crazy powerful or anything.
No, I really like the way they did the Dungeoneers.
I'm curious what you think about this one. This one's a little interesting. All right. Against all odds, a 5-mana holy spell for Priest. Destroy all odd attack minions.
Well, I feel like it's the best flavor win for a card name I've seen in a long time.
It is really okay. Fantastic. That's true. It's a 5 for the name. The only card better is Cutter Butter, but Scab's Cutter Butter. You can't beat him. He's like a 10 out of 5. But
I love get odds that destroys all odd attack minions. That's fantastic. I'm glad it's not cost, because that means it wouldn't reduce tokens. And in fact, this actually ends up killing all tokens that are pretty much, except all the adventurers, obviously. But other than that, it does a great job of killing 1/1 tokens. It does a fantastic job of clearing the board in the right situations. I think this is it's just a perfect Priest card. It's a holy spell. It's a situational removal AoE, which is exactly what all Priest cards that are good are. Right. It reminds me of some of the cards we talked about earlier, like Light Bomb and Psychic Stream, where they're not always good, but in most situations they do something important. So I think this is a 3.5. I don't think it rises to 4, but I think you can sit there and wait for this card to be good, and then you can win the game because of it. So I think it's a 3.5.
I think the situation I'm thinking about is like, I try to think about like when I see this card, like what about like different situations that you'll see. And I think one thing that's, people might be like, well, what if like a lot of the cards are even? But the thing is, if this, like, let's say this removes like a 7-mana card and leaves the rest of their board, it's 5 mana. Like that's still pretty good. So like, it doesn't have to like clear the whole board for it to be good. If you might have to trade a couple things. Maybe you trade a little bit of your board and then clear the rest. Or
think about it this way: you trade your odd attack minions into their even attack minions, and then you clear all their odd attack minions with this card.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's a pretty interesting one. So we're gonna give this one. I think 3.5 is fair. I like that rating on this one. Okay, guys, we are getting through them. We're going to move on now to Rogue. I forgot about this card. The first card. 1 mana spell, Savory Deviate Delight. Transform a minion in both players' hands into a pirate or a stealth minion. So basically, each of you is going to have one of your cards change from... and it could be a spell too. It's going to change into a pirate minion or a stealth minion.
No, don't draft this card. Don't draft this card. This is a 0. This card is not a 0 in situations where it isn't a card itself. If you could just do this, there are times when you'd want to. But when you have to spend an entire card from your hand, this card does nothing. This is not a card I would ever want to draft. I cannot think of a situation where I'd want it.
Can you think of a situation where you would like to discover it?
Yes, if I had no minions in my hand except a token. That's the only time. Like if I had a random 1 mana.
I think that's important to talk about though, because a lot of these cards, like in general in Hearthstone, like they're pretty bad, but like sometimes discovering them makes them actually good. Not that it makes this one's too bad to be good, but I'm just saying, like it's a general. It would
have to be a situation, a specific situation where my opponent is on the point on their curve where I'm nervous about their next drop, and I also have a token or a bad minion in my hand.
But Kellen, I could turn their Protodrake or their Violet Worm into a Worgen Infiltrator.
Shut up! I don't want to hear about it.
Don't you want me to spread the memes to the community?
Nope.
Okay.
No interest.
Okay.
Get this card out of here.
Get it out of here.
I do enjoy crafting them in World of Warcraft. I'm not going to lie, but
I'm going to save my favorite. There's 2 ones that are 3 mana. I'm going to save my favorite one for last. Okay. Next card is a 3 mana shadow spell for Rogue. It's a Shroud of Concealment. I think this one's really interesting to talk about, actually. It's draw 2 minions. Any played this turn gain stealth for 1 turn. So... And then remember, it's only 1 turn too. This card's interesting. Like, it's an expensive draw for the current Hearthstone. It's very expensive for the draw.
Yeah, it costs 1 extra than it should. Yeah.
But in general, one of the things I've always noticed is like I would rather a lot of times with Rogue, like you have mana and you just run out of cards. Sometimes if you have a faster Rogue, and at least the way I play Rogue a lot. And the thing is like, even though I might be spending 3 mana, like if I can get some stealth down and then do some face damage, I can see this card actually having some, could be pretty good in a faster deck.
So Rogue has an issue in the late game where it runs into a situation exactly like what you're talking about, where Rogue runs out of cards and your opponent, your ping got you through the early game. You won the early game with your hero power, and then you dumped your hand. You got them down to 12, and now you're sitting with them at 8 to 12 life, and you're out of cards, and they're dropping 7, 8, 9 drops. This card is a beautiful way around that. It gives you the opportunity to not only draw 2 minions, but set up a lethal attack the following turn. It does a lot of really interesting stuff that sets up the future. There's a lot of cards that benefit from stealth as well that do not have it because it'd be too powerful. Things like Poisonous, or cards that can have their attack increase, or cards that have a spell burst, or frenzy, things like that. So there's a lot of abilities that are rewarded by having stealth, and I think this card actually ends up being better than Arcane Intellect here. I think it ends up I think it ends up going up to the 3-star slot. I still don't love it. I don't think it's it's like it feels kind of like Head Crack plus Arcane Intellect. Does that make any sense? Like, yeah. It's a draw card spell that allows you to go face, or is just a generic card draw spell that's great.
I'm pushing it to 3.5. I'm just gonna give it a little bump. No, okay. Well, I mean, to be fair, this is again. I know it's hard to always be 100% value cards because it is situational. Like this card will obviously be better in a faster deck than it would be in a slower deck. But I feel like the upside in a faster deck, which a lot of times I think the meta is gonna be like, I think this card will surprise you. I do think that I do think it's a little bit dependent, but it's hard to, again, because like when it's good in the right deck, it's gonna could even be a 4, in certain decks. So I'm gonna give it 3.5. I think it'll surprise people a little bit. I don't think it's like
I'm comfortable at 3, but I see where you're coming from. I think the upside situation for it is very high, but I just think those situations are less.
I just think the stealth being able to hit face, like if you like imagine like drawing. Like it's like it's turn 9 and you draw. I know that you might not draw both, but like even if one of them is a 4-drop and you get to play it and it's like has like 5 attack, you know, like
I agree. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of games where on turn 6 you have this in your hand and it's not producing board presence.
Or it's a Venomous Scorpion with stealth. Yeah. Come on, man.
Okay. Yeah, no, there are good sides too, but yeah, I'm not as sold on it as you are, but I do think it's a good card.
We can disagree a little bit. We can disagree a little. All right.
By half a star, yeah. Ooh.
Oh yeah, I mean we disagree. Yeah. All right. This last one, I don't know why this is one of my favorite cards of the set. I don't know. It's sometimes it's just flavor things or like interesting mechanics, but I really like this card. Next we have Water Moccasin. It's a 3-mana 2/5 beast with stealth. This is such a I wish they would make more cards like this. So it has poisonous while you have no other minions. So now, as is funny, even though I do play aggressive rogues, I still always draft. My personal style is always lots of really strong ones. I almost always dagger on 2. I don't even look for 2-drops unless they're very good. And then I just drop a really strong 3-drop. This plays right into my freaking wheelhouse. I love this card.
Love it.
This will fit right into what I like to do. I think this thing is a 4.5. I think
what
it's
really... No, that's insane. No, that's insane. That's putting it above the weapon that's putting it above.
I didn't put it above it. I gave that weapon a 4.5.
The paladin weapon?
Oh no. I thought we were talking about the hunter weapon.
No. I don't think this is that good. I think this is a 3.5. Wow, we're a full star off. Wow, we really disagree.
I would be willing to give this one a 4. Okay, we'll just give it a 4. 4 is fine. We'll give it a 4.
I do like this card a lot. I think it's significantly better than any of the other 3-drops we've seen. Significantly, it's definitely better than the Dungeoneers. Although if the Dungeoneers hit their equivalent, I think the trigger on this is just so much easier to hit.
Well, here's what I really like about this card. It just has stealth. It's not like stealth for a turn. So you don't really lose out by. For one thing, if you have minions in front of it, you can always trade them in first or trade it into something else. So people always talk about the bad side, but there's always usually ways around that kind of thing.
This downside is really minor. Yeah, it doesn't seem like an
issue.
The
thing is that it has stealth, so honestly, this thing just sitting on the board is just it
hold
stalls.
On. What about this situation? So I actually think one of the biggest downsides, the reason I don't love this card is because there is a big downside to the second clause on the card, the poisonous clause, and that's when you're in the late game and you're trying to play 8-drops or when you have 5s and 7s in play, because you're not going to want to trade your 5s or 7s. Your goal would be to take your poisonous minion, trade it into their 5 or 7, and then attack face with your 5 or 7, or take a value trade. So I still think this card. I still think this card's a 3.5, but. I do think it gets worse in the late game unless the board is completely trade. So that's the thing.
See here's my last point to push it to a 4. It kills Sunwell Initiate, and that matters. It really does. I'm serious. That card just basically wins games on its own. So any card that counters it, it matters a lot. So I like it. Yeah. It'll be a fun card to mess around with. Again, these type of cards where you have to order your trading or something to do specific things are really fun. So
I remember Blizzard with the Pride Hill Defender, the 4-mana 2/6 taunt that gets
Proud Defender.
Attack. It was very fun to play with that card. It definitely I
see what you're saying. That has a little bit of a similar feel to it. Next, we're going to be moving on to the 3. There's basically 3. There's 3 cards for every class. We're moving on to Shaman. The first one we're going to go over is Wailing Vapor. This card's really kind of fun, and I don't think it's really crazy either. It's a 1-mana 1/3 elemental, and after you play an elemental, not summon, remember, play it, you gain +1 attack. This card's solid. Certain classes 1-mana cards matter more, and the fact that they have the weapon that 3-mana, the one that buffs their minions and stuff on turn 3 makes this better. And also you're going to draft elementals even because of the Dungeoneer and stuff. So I don't think you're going to trigger this off a crazy amount of times, but a 1/3 can do some work if it's played early. And the fact that it just buffs makes it solid. So I I think it's a pretty decent card.
It's like a 2.5 to me. It's slightly above it. 2.5. It's straight up average.
Man, you're really hard on the ratings with some of these. I think this one's at least a 3.
It could be a 3. I guess there are a ton of elementals. Okay, I'll give it a 3. I do think there are a lot of elementals, so this is probably better than an average card. You're right. You're right. A 1-mana 1/3 is already an average card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's again, you're not gonna blow up the world with this card, but like if you need an early mana card, plus again, there's one other thing you got to remember is there's a lot of cards where playing an elemental at all triggers other things. So you're gonna want this card just for triggers. There's the one that makes you get a hex. There's the lily pad, that kind of thing. Yeah. So
that's true.
So you got to remember the other side of it too, which is like the fact that you get an elemental to play can actually matter sometimes. So
I think the elementary synergy is worth half a point. You're right. You're absolutely right. It should be worth half a point.
Yeah.
Half a star.
Sometimes Kellen gives me a little bit of credit, once in a while.
Like the third time. That's the third time I've come up. Come on.
I have to push him. I'm pushing him hard to get up a little bit. It's okay. It's the magic in him. He's got to be hard on the cards. He's got to stick with with the formula. The next card we have is a 1. This is really interesting. I was watching Dread stream and he was talking about the next card we're going to talk about, basically how many nature spells there are, and there's so much nature in Shaman, and there's no fire spells. And then the next card he reviewed was this one. So it was just kind of funny. So anyway, it's a 1-mana fire spell for Shaman, Perpetual Flame. I really like the idea of evaluating this card. It's a deal 3 damage to a random enemy minion. If it dies, recast this Overload 1. So just quickly to get it out of the way, if this casts 3 times, you're overloaded for 3. So
is that true? Oh,
yes. Oh, yeah, because it recasts it. So the overload is so this will overload you the amount of times it triggers. Which honestly, I don't think really. I mean, well, it does take away from how strong it would be if that didn't happen, but I still think it makes it very powerful. If you can deal 9 damage and be overloaded for 3, I think you're going to take it. So, this card's kind of weird to evaluate because it's really strong in certain situations, like really, really strong. I think meta-wise, like with Scorpid in the meta, like just the fact that it can remove a Scorpid and then you can still play a 3-drop on turn 4, like that makes it pretty damn good. So I don't think it's crazy because there's going to be times where like there's not stuff with 3 damage on board, but I think this card's decent. I don't think it's crazy though.
I actually, I didn't realize the multiple overload thing. That really hinders this card's ability to be great.
Well, I definitely think it's not great. I think I agree. I was going to give it I don't know. It's hard to say because it's situational as many of these are, but
I still think I want 1 in my deck if I'm not using a nature synergy thing. But I think the fact that it is fire is a huge downside. I think that's like an important downside.
Yeah, because I think that the themes are going to matter. You're going to want to draft elementals, and you're going to want to draft nature spells.
Nature, yeah. And I think this fire thing is a downside. I think this overload multiple times is a downside. I think that's a lot of points against it.
The thing is, like all that, but yet it could literally just wipe
clear
the
board on without it.
We can't deny the upside. The upside on this is so high, even though
it's such a shaman card. It's like
remember that arena only card that was 0 mana, deal 10 damage to the whole board, but you overloaded for 10.
Yeah, I think this is a shoot. I think I'm going to give this card only a 3. I think it is above average. I think you definitely want the first one in decks that don't have nature themes. But I don't even know if that's true. Is this just an average card? Is this just an average card?
Well, again, remember, Kellen and I are kind of diving pretty deep in this. So like we can give it a rating, but there's so much to a card than just a number, right? Because here's the thing, like you kill a violet worm, right? Like you don't want to overload for 7 just to wipe off 7 health. You know what I mean? So yes, it's really strong. And there's going to be a couple situations where there's like a Scorpid, a venomous one Scorpid, a venomous Scorpid, and then like, another card, and it'll wipe off like 3 things and it'll win you the game just because you only spent 1 mana, and yeah, sure, the overload next turn sucks, but you only have to spend 1 mana initially. So
that's tough. Yeah,
it makes it really.
A hard one to evaluate.
I do think it's. I think it's
one in a month.
Again, like I think what you said is important. You probably only want one, but by having that one of these in the deck, it can probably raise your win rate a significant amount. So, but anyway, I think a 3 is fair. There's a lot of weird. There's so many things to this.
I could be convinced to drop down to 2.5 and make it feel average, but I'll take both. I'm really not sure. This is one where I don't have a great read on where this will play out in the meta.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing where it will. I'm happy with a 3 or a 2.5. I feel like both are particularly are fine grades.
Yeah.
So yeah, tough card, interesting card, very cool card.
Yeah, I like that one to evaluate. So then our last card is our final Dungeoneer card. It's a Primal Dungeoneer.
The best one, right?
Yeah, easily the best one. 3 mana, 2/3 Battlecry. Draw a spell. If it's a nature spell, you also draw an elemental. So this is where I like to compare this to Swindle. So if you guys know what Swindle does now, one thing is Shaman really struggles with card draw in general. So okay, so like just the fact that Shaman gets card draw is a huge tick up. Even if it's like just drawing a card, it's like a big deal. So like that is an uptick. And then on top of it, I think it is fairly easy. I think you're almost always going to have an elemental in your deck. And I think that you're going to draw a nature spell. I mean, if you get this early enough and you know it, I mean, it could be like 60 to 70% or even higher. You know what I mean? Like,
so I think this is actually a fantastic thing to talk about based on our last card. I think if you have a Primal Dungeoneer in your deck already, I would not be interested in taking the last card we reviewed. I would probably avoid that card in favor of either a solid minion or I also just so it's clear, the effect on Primal Dungeoneer is not the reason that it is the best Dungeoneer. It is the fact that drawing a nature spell and the effect is good is drawing a nature spell is easiest in Shaman, and drawing an elemental is very good too. So where in Priest, drawing a holy spell is not that hard, the effect is like only somewhat. It's good, but not the best thing ever. I think the ease of drawing nature and the power of elemental synergy it makes Primal Dungeoneer the best Dungeoneer.
Yeah,
I think it's a 4. I think it is the best Dungeoneer by that
4.5.
much. I think it's a 4. No way.
Well, you're really that no way by 1/2 star.
Yeah, well, 4.5 is the 4 mana 1/2 poisonous weapon.
I think here's the thing. I think for me, again, Shaman really struggles with draw. And here's the thing: what makes Swindle so good is actually something you kind of brought this up, but didn't quite bring up the point I was thinking, which is drawing a spell and a minion. Because an elemental is always going to be a minion; it's not going to be a spell. So that diversity, that's what makes Swindle so insanely strong, is that you're drawing a minion for pressure and you're drawing a spell to react. So like you get both. And the fact that this does that, I would give us a 4.5, but I can understand giving it a 4. But I think this card will really bring Shaman together. So.
I think in order to get a 4.5 for me, you have to be able to cheat on mana, and this does not cheat on mana in any way. And that's where I kind of draw the line between a great card or a fantastic card and a super fantastic. I don't know how to describe that. A card that's like defining your class. I think this card is very good and will lead to a lot of fantastic decks, and you'll take it. But there also are decks where you won't draw a nature spell, and there also are decks where you'll draw nature and an elemental, and you'll still die with 3 cards in your hand. So I don't know. That's where my thinking is at.
Yeah. 4.5 then. Cool. All right. So moving on. All right. We're almost done with the classes, the class cards.
Oh yeah, we're on to Warrior, aren't we? Or Warlock.
Warlock. Yep. Actually, some of these I don't know if I. Oh God, this card. Okay, I was like, did I see these cards? I'm like, yes, I did, because I complained about it to you. I remember. All right.
Yes, you did.
So the first card we're going to talk about for Warlock is a 1 mana shadow spell called Final Gasp. It deals 1 damage to a minion. If it dies, summon a 2/2 adventurer with a random bonus effect. So the first time
4 to 5. 4 to 5.
Yeah. Wait, 4 to 5?
4 out of 5.
Oh, 4 out of 5. Yeah, I definitely think it's a 4 out of 5. So the first time I read this card, I thought it which I still think would make this card like okay. I thought it brought the adventurer to your hand. And then I read it again and it said summon, and I was like, oh shit, this card's really good. Like, so.
Yeah, if this card went to your hand, it'd be a 3. That's how good this card is.
I know, it still would be a 3, yeah.
Yeah, so I look at this card as a 1-mana 2/2 with an effect that has Battlecry deal a damage. That card's insane. I would take that card all the time. I do take it. I take Elven Archer at like at the 2-star level, and this card is so much better than that. So,
yeah, see, the thing is like, if you could guarantee that this was like always one of the 3 better ones, this thing would be like almost like potentially like a 4.5. But I mean, you obviously can't, which is why you can't give it a 4.5. But
exactly,
if you hit, that's just to give you the idea. Like if you hit one of the big ones, like you play this and you hit a poison or you hit a divine shield, like imagine a shielded mini bot that costs 1 less but could deal a damage. I mean, like what the hell is that? Like
it's ridiculous.
Holy shit! All right, like moving on. That one's pretty good.
The high rolls on that are game ending.
Yeah.
On turn 2 or turn 1.
This next card is a little bit scary. All right. So now we have another shadow spell, a 2-mana shadow spell, Unstable Shadow Blast. Deals 6 damage to a minion. Excess damage hits your hero. I am not happy this card exists.
Yeah, this looks like a 3.5 to me. It's
really?
It could be a 4, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a.
It's got to be a 4. It just deals so much damage. It deals
I don't know,
so
dude.
much damage.
I was gonna give this a 4.5. The only reason is because, like, I don't know, 2 mana. Like,
no,
I know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. No, you're right. This kills. So you're gaining. What does a 6 health minion cost? 5 mana. So you're gaining 3 mana. Yeah, this is a 4.5 for sure. You're gaining 3 mana on a single card. It doesn't win the game by itself, so I don't think it can be a 5. But it's about as close as we've found. 2 mana to kill any minion up till turn 5 or 6 is stupid. That's
this does so much damage for so little mana that you can, like, just the fact that you have your hero power that you do, like, you can just kind of be like, yeah, and like you get to basically get a free card because this thing's so cheap. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, you can tap with this turn because it's like you can kill like something with 6 health and just like you can just take an amalgam and just be like, they spend 4 mana and you just spend 2 and drop one of your Scorpids or a 3 mana card, and you're just like, the game is just over.
I think this card has as much chance to win the game as the 4 mana hunter weapon. I think this is another card where it's just like, wow, my opponent can play whatever they want to play, and it doesn't matter because I'm going to get to kill it and do something else. And I think we don't talk about the opportunities to double spell or play, and by double spell I mean play 2 cards in the same turn. But man, Unstable Shadow Blast only costs 2 mana. You can play.
Wait. Let me just throw one other thing out there. Sunwell Initiate Destroyer, which matters. It does.
Oh, I know that's a good point. Oh, that's true.
I mean, I know it sucks, but the truth is when somebody coins that card and you do not have an answer, the game a lot of times ends. So again, I know I keep coming back to this stupid Initiate, but like, if there's something that easily deals with it, like you can play this card and still drop a 1-drop with this thing, like holy crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and truthfully, generally, I mean, yes, health matters, but like, if you kill a venomous Scorpion with this thing and you take 3 health to avoid having to lose your 4-drop or something, like that matters. So, it's a good trade-off.
And Warlock is in a good healing situation right now.
That's true. Very true.
Cards and yeah.
All right. So, anyway, moving on, we have our last card. I love this. Is again, they actually, Blizzard did a really good job this time, in my opinion, of like interesting cards. Not always crazy powerful, but interesting. Okay, this one is a 4-mana demon. It's a 4-mana 2/6 demon, sorry. After you draw a card, change its cost to health instead of mana. So they've done this in the past where there was the 8-mana priest card that you drew 2 cards and then you spent health instead of mana.
This card was quite good.
I actually don't, I'll be honest, Kellen, like, I don't exactly know how to evaluate this. Like, I think I'm kind of in love with this card because the effect is so cool. But it's probably not as good as I think it is.
Yeah,
I don't think it
bothers me. It should be a 3/5. I don't like it at a 2/6 because it swings the game more as a 2/6. If the card lives, it's nuts on turn 4. But the fact that there are games where your opponent will just kill it, and then you just and their cards don't die, like they hit it with a 2/3 and a 4/3 or something, and then you just like sit there, having wasted your turn.
Like you can just fishy flyer this thing.
Yeah. So
you listen to your face when I said fishy flyer. You were like, oh, you got this really ugly face.
I don't know. Like I love the upside, and this is a card that's a super high variance card. If you're able to find a way to draw 3 cards with this in play and not be dead, you win the game. It's not like you don't. It's not like it's close. Like if you have 3 cards that you can cast for free, there's no way to lose if it's this early in the game. The problem is that's not how this card plays out. This card plays out where you play it on 4 and then it's going to die immediately. But that would matter if it was a 3/5 because it would trade with your opponent's creature. But instead, it's a 2/6, and so it won't trade. It will just do some damage and shrink your opponent's minions. So I don't know what that means. I'm really not sure where that lands this card.
Yeah, because it's like, a claw machine kills it and still lives. I mean, I know we're...
So this is the other thing you can do, is you can play it later, and that's fine. But that's tough because the game doesn't always allow you to come back in the late game if you're behind on health or behind on curve. So in games where you're behind late, or at parity even, or when the board's close or something, if your health is not doing well, this card is not good. This card's actually not good because it doesn't allow you to cast those cards for mana. It can invalidate every draw you have for the rest of the game.
Right.
So it's a difficult card in the sense that the late game, it might not be a castable card. Now, I still will play this card every time I get it. Don't get me wrong. This is like my favorite kind of crap to do. But I don't know if that is something that can exist on turn 8 or 9 or turn really anytime you can draw a card in your turn. So starting turn 6, 7, 8. There's a chance that you will never get to cast those cards. Because like it doesn't change them back to mana once the card dies. They are forever.
It could actually invalidate a card you need to play.
Yeah, and it does have a chance to do that. So I don't know where to put this card because it really depends on, can your opponent kill it after you play it on turn 4? Are you going to have enough health to use it in the late game? I don't know. And can you kill it off when you need to so that you can cast cards for mana?
Man, Kellen, you're throwing so many questions. My brain's jumping around with this rating.
I think it's at least a 2.5. I think it's at least a 2.5. It can't be worse than 2.5. It's an average card. I think worst case scenario, you play it on 4. It does some damage to their
I don't know if I
minions
can give it a 2.5 with the upside it has, though. It
has a massive downside, though, in the late game. A huge upside potential, too. But...
I mean,
this is a really difficult one to figure out.
I think it's got to at least be average. Are you saying
that's what I'm thinking? I think it's average.
Well, no, but I think okay, I guess my thinking of average is like maybe a little higher than yours in a sense. I don't know. I don't know. Like I was gonna give it a 3, but maybe I don't know. We'll just give it a 3. I think the thing is, I understand why you're going with it. Like I understand the 2.5 thing. But like this card can literally just win you the game by itself. So it's hard to just give a card like that a 2.5. It's just hard for me. I'm just saying.
There's a lot of cards that can win you the game by themselves that don't pan out most of the time.
But I will say, I think I'm more worried that this has 2 attack than that it has, like you were saying, 6 health. Because like it's not so much that like the 6 health obviously makes it a lot harder to remove than something that's 5, but like. The 2 attack makes it so non-impactful when it doesn't actually do what it's supposed to. That's scary. You know what I mean? So I do. Yeah,
I need to play with this card. I need to feel it out. I need to see what happens in the games I'm playing. If my opponent is curving out and is just going face, I don't think I can ever.
We
cast
do have
this
Kobold
card.
Librarian, so we have cheap ways to draw. That's the other thing is honestly my brain. I know we did the meta prep before we did this card review, but there's just. Whenever we do these card reviews, like, I mean, we're not really evaluating them based on the meta, but it is important to think about what's going to be there because
this card's going to be fantastic with Spellstone. Very good with Spellstone.
Oh, God. Yeah, I forgot about that card. Oh, my God, You're right. All right, that's enough on that one. We're going to definitely circle back on this one for sure.
That's going to be like a whole episode.
We're going to have a whole episode on it. Oh, my God. All right, so
Stealer of Soul.
our last class cards. We're down to 3 class cards. Okay, I just gotta say, I fucking love this next card. I'm gonna forget where that was to bleep it. All right,
At the end of Warlock.
All right, so Whetstone Hatchet, a 1-mana 1/4 weapon. After your hero attacks, give a minion in your hand +1 attack. So let me just say before I get started that I have like a love affair with like the ping weapons. I just love them.
I do. That's a trait we share.
Like, this is a Light's Justice that buffs your board. I mean, I know Light's Justice doesn't quite hold its test of time, or like it's as good as it was. But like for years, I would tell people, like, honestly, there's situations where I would take Light's Justice over True Silver because what it did to certain decks was just so good. And this card is like, let's buff your cards too. Man, I'm probably gonna overrate this card.
Ooh, tell me what you're gonna rate it. I already have my rating set for this. What do you got?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Oh, exactly where I'm at. Yeah, it's significantly above average. It sets up. It's a ping weapon. I think the 4 durability is not as good in Warrior as it is in other classes because you are trying to burn through weapon charges. But every time you burn through a weapon charge, you're guaranteed +1 attack. So it's not like other weapons where just attacking for damage doesn't affect the board in the long run. This card will eventually affect the board in a positive way. So I love cards like Hatchet. I really feel good about this card.
I could see this card actually being a little bit worse than I think it is, but I mean, and again, this is a meta card where like other weapons and things might kind of take its spot, but I still think this card is very good. So this is just a fun card, and I think this is like if they were going to make this weapon for any class, I think Warrior's like maybe the best one for it. That's one of the other. I like some of the design decisions they've made in this set. I actually really like, and it's not an Outrider's Axe, which by the way, I played that Grime Street thing that makes it a +1/+1 on my Outrider's Axe. And let me tell you, a 4-mana 4/4 Outrider's Axe is just like the guy just conceded because he should have.
Yeah, that's not fun to play against.
That's not fun. This next card is not particularly crazy, but I just think it's fun. The next card is a 2-mana 2/3. It's Man at Arms. Battle Cries. If you have a weapon equipped, it gains +1/+1, so it would become a 2-mana 3/4 if you have a weapon.
This is slightly above average.
So it's like a 3, right?
Yeah, it's a very average card. It has an upside that's good. When you hit it, you'll be happy. When you don't hit it, you'll be whatever. So
and there's so many crazy things like Scorpions that even when you do hit it, it probably won't mean anything anyway.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So it's hard to give it much higher, but yeah, it's okay. Next we have I think I saw someone in they did change it. Originally they didn't reveal this as a beast, but it is a beast. So this next card is called Kresh, Lord of Turtling. 6-mana 3/9 beast. Frenzy
I'm sorry, I have not seen this card yet, so I love this.
It's a legendary. Frenzy is gain 8 armor, which can be pretty good sometimes for Warrior, and because it's so easy. I mean, this Frenzy will almost always trigger. It's gonna be really hard to not trigger this Frenzy. And then it's the Death Rattle equips a 2/5 Turtle Spike. So it just equips a low attack weapon, but tons of charges. So yeah.
I don't particularly want to draft this card. I think if I'm offered a pack of legendary minions, I probably won't take Kresh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing to remember is that, guys, if you don't fall, if you're getting back into Arena, legendaries, although the other rarities have been kind of mixed up with everything, like you can see commons and rares and epics together, legendaries packs always have all legendaries.
I still think I want to play it. Like I still think it's a 3.5. It's a 3.
Really?
Maybe.
I actually wasn't going to go for a 3. I guess
I think
it is such. I was going to go for a 3, but
it just does enough stuff. Yeah, it's at least a 3. It could be a 3.5 if I want to play with it and try it out, but I think it's about a 3. Just a 6-mana 3/9 gain 8 is good enough.
So think of it this way: you would have to probably. You're not going to be able to like drop it on 6 to survive, so it's really not going to trigger until turn 7 if you play it on curve.
Yeah.
But I think
that's
that
fine.
does
You're
matter.
Not dead by then. You're not dead
I
by
know.
then.
I'm just saying it's interesting to think about how it's not like an immediate effect and they can't ignore it. They will ignore it because who attacks into a 3/9?
I mean, I don't know if you've played World of Warcraft, but in Wailing Caverns, everyone ignores Crash anyways, so that makes sense.
Oh, that's kind of funny that it has some kind of like meaning. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So chat, it's time. Actually, not chat. I forgot. We're podcast people. It's time to finally move on to the neutrals, the heart of Arena, the neutral cards.
Our favorites.
Our favorites. Actually, there's not that many neutrals. Interesting. There's not that many. I guess it's a mini set, so I guess you wouldn't expect them to be that.
No,
many.
it's a small set. It's okay.
It's going to take me a second to find these because I got to go through all the forge cards on this webpage while I'm bringing these up. All right.
Ooh.
So the first one is this card's actually really interesting. I think. Not if it's good, but it's funny. 1 mana 0/2 Meeting Stone. At the end of your turn, add a 2/2 adventurer with a random bonus effect to your hand.
It's a 2 out of 5, right? Like it's not the worst because you're probably going to get at least one adventurer, but that makes it a 3 mana 2/2. There is a chance that it will trigger twice, at which point you'll be fine with that.
Do you think they should have made this? Do you think they should have made this like at the end of the turn it summons one? Because like I don't think that would have made it crazy. I mean, it would have been good.
Are you kidding me? They just made watch posts and they were slaughtered in social media off their watch posts. They can't make another watch post. I think
it's not a watch post. It wouldn't be a watch post.
It's pretty close. You're right. It's more like the camel and the other.
Well, because it's a controlled amount every turn. It's not like every time you do something.
Yeah. Okay. It's more like the camels and stuff. I still think they did it the right way. A 1 mana 0/2 that draws you a card every turn is a good card. Or a roughly good card. It's just slightly worse. I just wish it
was like one more health or something. Just something very slight to make it a little better.
Nah.
Because it's a 2. I would like it to be a 3.
I think if it was a 3, it doesn't yeah, but you can't kill with a 2/3 if it has 3 health, and I think that does matter. I think you have to price it and have its health totals at a spot where any 2-drop kills it, because otherwise you're going to run into situations where Meeting Stone runs away with the game on turn 1, and that's not okay. They can't allow that to happen.
So we're giving this a 2, right?
I think it's a 2.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I want to like it, so I want it to be like a 2.5 or a 3, but it's just not.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I just wish it was like there was some way to make it just a little better, because it's not really great, but I'll probably still take it here and there. I guess in some of the classes like Paladin where you have early buffs, it could be kind of interesting.
That's for sure. Yes.
I'm just saying in those, obviously all certain cards are always better in certain classes, but yeah, there's not many neutrals, so I got to milk this as much as I can. Okay, so don't judge me, people. Okay. All right. So next we're moving on to this one's fun. It's probably the most interesting like arena-ish type of card I would consider, like because it's kind of like just a arena card. It's a Devouring Ectoplasm. 3 mana 3. Apparently this has a lot of like lore with like the actual Wailing Caverns, which I never played WoW, so I don't know. But anyway, it's a 3 mana 3/2 minion, Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 adventurer with a random bonus effect. So
yeah, I think this is a pretty good card just because it does everything on its own.
Right.
It doesn't require I don't know, waiting or setting up. It just is what it is. So it's a 3 mana 5/4. I think it's just a better version of Harvest Golem. In most. It's
basically it's like better than a Harvest Golem and strictly a little bit worse than a hog. I'm actually probably a little more than a hog. The hog. What is the hog card? The 3/2 that summons a 2/1 hog. Hog Rancher. Hog Rancher.
Oh, Hog Rancher.
So anyway, it's definitely worse than that card because it doesn't have the immediate effect, but it's like you said, it's definitely better than like Harvest Golem. I was gonna give this like a 3.5.
Ooh, that's.
I guess the upside. There is a lot. I mean, if it hits upside, do you want to give it like a 4?
Oh, I was trying to decide if to do a 3 or 3.5. Yeah, I'm with you on 3.5. I think the upside, it does bring it up to 3.5. There's going to be times where you hit the exact right one for the situation. If this ever hits Divine Shield, it's just stupid.
Yeah. Well, this thing is, if it hits Divine Shield, it's actually it's arguably better than maybe even like a Sunwell.
I think actually Divine Shield as an option on Adventurer is my biggest problem with these cards. It's the only one that has a drastic effect on how the game plays out in the early game. So
Right.
like a 2/2 poison doesn't matter in the early game. A stealth, a wind fury, a taunt, a rush, they all don't really matter. They do a little bit, but it's situational and it's, you're mattering by a half a mana point overall. A 2-mana 2/2 divine shield early in the game significantly affects the outcome of the game by up to 2 mana, and that is I'm not sure if that should have been included or if they should have made just less early game adventurer cards. I don't know. And maybe they did it right and I'll play it out and it'll be exactly how it's supposed to be. But I just feel like there's 1 out of 8 of them is the best thing you've ever seen in the early game. And I don't know how that's going to work. I'm curious to see what happens.
Here's my way of looking at it. Like, so for instance, like what makes Sunwell so good is that it takes, in the right situation, you have to put three different separate damage amounts into it to kill it. You could argue that this card kind of, if it's on the most upside, does almost the same thing because it's a 3/2 and then a 2/2 with Divine Shield and then a 2/2 without it. So, but that's like the highest. Like that's the most insane of the insane. Poison's also obviously pretty good, but they might be able to deal with it on their own. But when they try to trade into it because they want to deal with it and then the Divine Shield pops and they can't deal with the shield, it could be pretty bad. But I think, yeah. So
this is I think this is with that in mind.
Yeah.
I think with the high roll, it's still worse than a lot of it's still like it's equivalent to the best 3-drops we have. So I think that means it's about a 3.5.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Because like the best 3-drops we have right now are 4.5. So we have some really good 3-drops.
Right.
So with that in mind, I think that card could be equivalent to those at its best situation. But on average, it's a 3.5. It's just above average, not nuts like some of the other cards.
All right, moving on to we only have a couple left, 3 left. Our next one is a neutral legendary. It's a 3-mana 3/3 Archdruid Narlex. It's another dormant card. Sorry, dormant for 2 turns. While dormant, so you'll get over 2 turns, you'll get 2 dream cards. Add a dream. Sorry, let me just read it. Dormant for 2 turns. While dormant, add a dream card to your hand at the end of your turn. So, and you guys know, I haven't really looked, but I'm just gonna make a wild assumption that it is the new Ysera cost. I'm assuming.
Yes.
So, 1 mana dream, 4 mana 7/6 dragon, 2 mana 3/5 untargetable. We got I guess it's a 1 mana 4/4, or is it 0 mana 4/4 buff? I don't even know now. It's 0 mana.
If you've played Arena, you've experienced what Ysera cards look like.
But yeah, but this card's pretty good. Because obviously Ysera's better because you get them all at once. And what's interesting about this card is you might get like 2 dream cards, or you might low roll and get 2 of the ones you don't really want or do anything for you. But the cards, even in their nerf state, not being like, for instance, Dream used to be 0 mana, that kind of thing. It's still really good. So what do you think of this card, Kellen?
I think it's a 4. I think this card is it's so much better than all the other 3-mana 3-mana draw 2s. Obviously, it doesn't give you anything initially, but you're gonna, as soon as you play it, like if you draw this late, you'll be happy. If you draw it early, you'll be happy. There's just so many ways to make this card do what it's supposed to do, which is give you value. And obviously, you don't really care about a 3-mana 3/3. Like, who cares? It's going to show up and do what it does. But any 2 dream cards early are nuts. Any 2 dream cards late are still powerful. So I'll be very happy to take this card. I think this is one of the legendaries that I would pick over the other legendaries I'm offered. So I'd give this a 4 out of 5. I still don't think it's going to win the game for you by itself, and that's what I'm looking for when I get to a 5. But I'd be very happy to have this card in my deck.
Yeah, I think that if they were going to balance this card, I think maybe you should have had to wait the 2 turns to get both dream cards instead of, because the fact that you get it, basically you play it and then you get a card, and then so for the next turn you have at least 1 dream card immediately. That's pretty.
I think they had to do that. I don't think the card's actually very good if you can't play the first.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just think that's a way they could have balanced it. But I don't think it's overpowered because of the fact that you get it immediately. But they are very strong. So
they are. It's kind of the same situation we saw at the last card, where if you get the right one right away, then you're going to be very happy. If you don't, then you're going to be very sad.
I will admit though, because of the whole because of the whole thing where legendaries are always in packs of other legendaries. To to be able to draft this card, I think you're going to actually have to probably give up like a N'Zoth or some pretty good cards. You have to consider that. You know what I mean? Like, it might not be super easy to take this one.
No, that's what I'm saying. I still think this card. I still think this card is better than either legendaries. I'd be very happy to play this card because I do think it is better than other legendaries that I would be offered.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of them where I like this card a lot. I honestly thought about giving this a 4.5, but I understand the 4.
It's close. If you were guaranteed to get a Sarah's Awakening, or is that the 2 mana deal 5 to everything?
That's 3 mana. It's 3 mana deal 5.
3 mana. Sorry, 3 mana deal 5. Yeah. If I was guaranteed to have that, then yes, I would I would take this.
But even honestly, the Dream is insane too. If you get Dream the following turn for 1 mana, you get a huge swing. Both of those 2 cards particularly are ridiculous.
Those are the 2 problem ones. Although here's one cool thing about Archsteward Neralax that you don't get from Ysera, that you are able to cast the minions on curve where you're not given that opportunity with Ysera. They're kind of understated for the late game. So that's kind of a cool addition. The 4 mana 7/6 looks really good with this card.
Yeah, like if you get that the next turn and you don't have a 4, then you drop that mother effer down.
Or you double 2 with a Laughing Sister. Not bad.
And Fel Reaver used to be good. It's so sad. All right. Is there 1 more or is there 2 more? Oh no, we have 2 more. All right, let me get to non-legendary first. Here we go. So we have our second to last card is a Selfless Sidekick. 7 mana 6/6. Battlecry, equip a random weapon from your deck.
So this is not a card that you're going to put in a deck. This is a card that you're going to put in a deck where it works. So that's the situation. This is not one you really can think about outside of the situation you're in when you look at it in the draft. Most cards you can just decide a generic value to and assign that to it and then be happy. This card is going to depend 100% on what you've taken already. If you have a couple really good medium-sized to expensive weapons, well, take Selfless Sidekick. If you don't, if you have 0 weapons, no thank you. Yeah.
Does this... I always get confused with these mechanics. Does it actually pull it out of your deck, or is it just it just becomes...
Yes, this one does pull it out of your deck.
How do you know it pulls it out, though?
Because it equips a random weapon from your deck. It has to specifically say it's a copy. Otherwise, it won't do that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, if it says equip a copy of a random weapon.
I can't remember the freaking card, but there was a card that was almost identical to this, except you didn't have the condition of the weapon. It was the warrior card that, like, it was
7 mana 6/5 Gorlock or something. Yeah, 7 mana 6/5. Equip a random weapon from Morlock. Yeah, equip a random.
I guess we're gonna say, what would you rate this? What would you rate this in a class where you actually would have weapons?
So warrior or hunter. In warrior or hunter or paladin
or rogue.
I don't think rogue. I would take this card because the weapons aren't worth equipping.
It's basically It's basically warrior or paladin for the most part, and maybe hunter.
I think hunter now with the poison weapon.
So those 3, what would you think?
I think in those classes, I'd probably give this a. You know what? Honestly, it depends on the weapons in my deck. I think in warrior this is worse because you are offered so many cheap medium-sized weapons. I think in God, it really depends. Is the evolve weapon around in Shaman right now? Bogstruck Knuckles.
Oh God, I don't know. I think
if it is, then this is probably
it is.
Okay, this is a 4 in that deck. If you have it's probably a 5 if you have Bogstruck Knuckles. And that's your weapon.
Should we just give it like a 3 in classes that have, just because we don't know?
I think we just say it's an unrateable card. It's
just so situational. But you guys, we've covered enough ideas for you guys to get to understand how we think about it. Obviously, if you're taking this in anything that's not a weapon class, it's just completely useless and you won't draft it. But even the fact that it's a 6/6 body and like it's a 7, like it's pretty late game. So even in the best case scenario, well, your scenario, it's insane, but even in a decent scenario, it might be too slow, you know?
Yeah.
So,
all
right.
I think that's where it's at.
Our final card of the Forged in the Barren. Oh, shh. After all that, I clicked the wrong. Oh no. What did I do? Okay. Sorry. Stream things. Okay. Here we go. We have Mutinous the Devourer. 7 mana 4/4 Murloc, Battlecry. Eat a minion in your opponent's hand and gain its stats.
This card is dumb. I would take it all the time if I can get it. I think it is on this. It is a 4, maybe higher, a 4.5 potentially. This card is a 4 mana 7/7 or 7 mana 7/7. Sorry, that makes your opponent discard a card at its like worst type of situation. In the best situation, it's a 7 mana 8 whatever, and your opponent just lost their ability to win the game because they lost their best minion. So this card's fantastic. I love it. I would be very happy to have it in my deck. I don't think it's on the level of something like a Silas or something because it's not going to directly affect the board as much as possible. But the idea of, I don't know, we've all played the Discover and Outcast card, Demon Hunter card, and get the Star Keeper lady that makes your opponent discard a card of your choice. That card's insane. This card's very similar in total card value. I don't like this card. I mean, it's very good. It's a very good card.
Well, it's funny because like it does so much with card advantage because it gains all these stats that they have to deal with, right? And it also takes away a card out of their deck and then forces them to use another card out of their deck to remove it if they even have one that can remove it. So yeah, it's pretty strong. So I think it's fair. I
think it's a 4. Yeah.
Wow, we did it, Kellen.
Oh man, it is late. It is late at night.
But we did it.
We pulled through. We got through all the cards, and that was really fun. Actually, I liked this set. I think there's a lot of interesting cards to think about. There's more stuff going on in this set that only has 3 cards per class than I think the entire, I don't know, all of the last 3 sets that are like full size sets that they released. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, my final thoughts a little bit like circling back to like even the rotations. If somehow a Blizzard dev ever listens to this podcast, if they do, please rotate the standard sets. Demon Hunter will be fine. I swear. It'll be fine. Just get rid of, like, please rotate all the sets. All of them. It'll be fine. Because I think that's my only gripe is, like, I'm always excited about rotation, but, like, this whole thing with Demon Hunter, it's obvious that's why they're doing it. I can't think of any other reason why they wouldn't be rotating sets like that.
Agreed.
Otherwise, why not just make it a standard arena? Like, you know, it's just, so anyway, that's my only little thing. Yeah. I'm ready for, again, like, for instance, I've always said that Skullomance and Corrupt is both very strong mechanics. I just don't want them to exist at the same time or dormant
all the time. Not for 24 months. That's not the amount of time I want to see us at for.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, this has been really fun. That's going to do it for the 18th.
I can't wait to draft these cards. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So that's going to do it for the 18th episode of the Kelcast. Remember, you can join us weekly on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, on my channel for keldar.twitch.tv. Or you can download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts every Monday. You can also find me on Twitch, where I stream daily at 7 a.m. Eastern, or on YouTube or Twitter by searching Keldar. That's Keludar. So remember that this week we're not going to be doing a Saturday broadcast because we just did this one. So we'll be doing the following Saturday. We'll be back on with our thoughts on the meta then. We want to make sure we say thanks to John Laux for the music used in the episode. You can find a link to all our contributors in the show notes. This has been the Kelcast. We'll see you in like 10 days. So cool.
Hell.
Okay. Make sure you swear.
Oh, I'm going to. Why the fuck did I have to miss every single NBA game tonight because Blizzard decided to release a set while I was at work? What the fuck? What the fuck? I didn't get to watch a single minute of NBA today because I went from work to gym to here. I got no NBA time today. I missed the entire Mavericks win today. I love watching the Mavericks, and they won a very close game that I didn't get to see. Well, I'm very disappointed.
On a second note, I'm really excited that Embiid is not like going to be out for the playoffs because we talked about this a little bit before, but he has a very minor tear, and I thought it was like going to require surgery, but apparently he can play like the next game probably. So the Sixers won. They're on to the. It's funny. The second round I think is going to be easier than the first round was.
I'm still pissed. I know you're happy your team won, but I'm pissed. I don't want to do this stupid.
I can tell you this. Okay, so I watched a lot of the Damian Lillard game when he went off for 55 and lost. And let me just say something. That dude deserves to be on a better franchise. I'm sorry, but he deserves to go for a championship. Support. Yeah, they need to get...
Watching Covington miss a dunk followed by CJ McCollum step out of bounds was really embarrassing.
Let me tell you this about, like, listen, Rocco or Covington, like, he was a Sixer, man. Like, I love that dude, but seriously, he is at best just a very, average role player. But he fills his role good for defense and stuff, but, like...
He's a fantastic defensive player, but my God, just put the ball in the hoop instead of slamming it against the rim. Or
and I don't know if he still is, but he was a streaky as crap 3-point shooter back in the day, and he probably still is.
Yes, correct.
Correct.
I just wanted to watch basketball today.
I'm sorry, Kellen. But the good news is you get to sleep in, and you don't have to do this tomorrow.
Well, I like doing this. I
know, and we don't have to do it on Saturday. We get a little bit of a week off, kind of. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true. I will watch a crap load of basketball this weekend to make up for today. That's what I'm going to do.
What game am I going to want to watch since the Sixers are done? What am I going to watch now?
You're going to want to watch Nuggets Blazers tomorrow, for sure. Ooh, that's going to be fantastic. And you're going to want to watch Suns Lakers tomorrow.
Wait, where are the Mavs and the Clippers at? What's the series like?
3-2 and 3-2. So Nuggets are up 3-2. Phoenix is up 3-2. Both series look incredible. And then the day after, you're going to want to watch the Clippers Mavs again, because that's going to be incredible. So,
all right, guys.
Yep.
That's it.
I'll talk to y'all later.
See
Bye.
Ya. Bye.